The world is dotted with huge, vast expanses of wilderness and nature, be it forests or woodlands or, heaths and fields that go on and on and on for miles. And the threat of entering one and losing the ability to exit that very place is very, very real. So little people nowadays have the survival skills, and I'm one of them. I, know some of the ultimate basics, but I'd say if I was put in a certain situation like this, I would be a goner. But so would the vast majority of people. There are some important things that need to be done, and the first one is entirely counterintuitive because it's preparation, and that makes sense on a seeming level, that being prepared to get lost prevents the dangers of being lost. But what if you don't intend to even be in the woods and then you stray off and get lost? Or what if you don't intend to be in there for longer than an hour, so you think, I'm not going to carry all this stuff, it's so unlikely that I'll get lost. And then you do, and you're without this or that, and it's terrible. And you may prioritize your phone, but chances are, depending on the area, there may be no cell service. So you won't have thought I'll need some kind of physical variant of a map. You think, I have my GPS. I won't consider that. And the second thing is don't panic, which... yeah, it's one of those pieces of advice which is like, of course I shouldn't, but I'm going to. There's no way to stop this. It can become so seemingly hopeless in, depending on the situation. So, if you think of something like the Nutty Putty Cave thing, which is a bit different, but the same kind of thing, like, you get to a point where it becomes absolutely hopeless and you have to reckon with that, or you're so deep in the woods and it's been a certain amount of days and there's no water, there's no food, and there's been no sign of any people, any sign of potential rescue. You reside to hopelessness, or when, the fire goes out and it was the last thing you had to burn, or, a huge storm comes or something, you become resigned to these absolute moments of hopelessness in these extreme situations, and being told not to panic is really not going to help, but just try not to. I know that's the shittest advice, but if you try not to, it's because you need to stay calm, you need to stay observant, and you need to clear your mind to be able to function, because the more stressed you are, the more strain you put your body under, the more unlikely you are to notice things you need to notice and to function in the way you need to function, which kind of leads on to the next point, which I think is 3, which is do not devalue sounds. When you are in these places where you can see nothing for miles and miles in every direction, there is nothing more vital than sound. You can hear, because if it's like a woodland area with the trees everywhere, they create these perfect echo chambers where really distant sounds can be picked up on, and you can hear twig snapping, you can hear running water, you can hear footsteps on like hard surface if someone's walking on a gravel path, you can use these sounds to try and figure out something, some form of pursuit, because something is better than nothing when you have like seemingly nothing. If you can approach whatever it is, as long as you're not, wary of it being like a jaguar or something, don't walk into one of them. But if you can hear what sounds like a walking party or what sounds like running water, your best bet is to head towards it, because it's better to be near people or water than away from people and water. And the fourth is fire. And yes, fire is incredibly hard to make, especially if it's wet, but if the ground is wet, that will only be extremely wet on the surface level. You can dig down, you can find covered things, you can, the bases of wood, if you can break away at the bark, the inside will be drier. There are potentials even in the wettest places for flammable wood. And I guess the fifth one is just don't die. Eat sparsely but enough. Drink more than you eat. Drink instead of eating at some points if you can, because you sometimes replace your thirst with hunger, and then you're eating at food which may be a more finite supply. But yes, just don't wander into the woods completely unprepared, because that's stupid, and that's how you get in these places, and that's how you end up being like missing 4014, because who knows what's going on out there? Maybe even Bigfoot.